Well, flourishing crop volumes have prompted the horticulture sector to lift pay rates as they compete now in a very tight labour market. The shortage and the cost increases have put automation and robotics under the spotlight to help ease labour pressures. Of course, a mixed blessing for the kiwifruit sector, who have recently announced that they are going to lift the living wage of $22.10 an hour for packhouse work, with the sector hoping higher wages will help fill the labour shortage this year. The kiwifruit industry has been called on by the government for some time to lift pay rates, and while they hope this proves to help alleviate labour issues, automation is very much a part of the horticultural harvest and potentially could become the new normal. So New Zealand Kiwifruit Growers Incorporated Chief Executive Nikki Johnson joins us now to speak more. Nikki, thank you so much for your time to join Sarah's Country today.
Always a pleasure.
Firstly, let's talk about the pay rates. A lift of 10% is hopefully going to incentivise and draw more people into the sector, especially from that recognised seasonal employment pool having been affected because of COVID lockdown. How are you going first and foremost, and is it having the effect that you wished?
Yeah, so we've been paying above living wage in the orchards for some time, but this lift in the pack houses is directly as a result of the government directive around paying RSE workers who've come into the country through MIQ the living wage. That's a government requirement. And so obviously we want to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity, and that's why pack houses have moved all of their pay rates largely to that living wage of $22.10. It's a little early for us to know at the moment whether that has meant that we have enough people for the harvest. We're only just started, so we're not at that peak harvest processing capacity at the moment. Things are looking okay, but normally at this time of year they would, and then as we get into that 24/7 operation, that's where we'll see whether or not we actually have enough people.
And 24/7 operations could benefit, of course, from more automation, from robotics technologies. The industry has come a long way already in that field. Could you explain where it's currently at with robotic use?
Yeah, so we're really talking about automation in the pack houses, and that's good because 2/3 of our labour requirements are actually in the pack house and 1/3 of them actually in the orchards. We're still a long way off seeing automation, automated pickers, robotic pickers. Those kind of things are a very long way out. But what we're seeing is a transition of technology into the pack house that can be adapted from other crops and then brought into kiwifruit pack houses, and that reduces quite a number of the labour units required. It has massive capital upfront cost, but those pack houses are seeing it as a real way to deal with the inconsistency around labour supply.
What are you learning from other parts of the horticultural sector where robotics have become part in a new normal for these pack houses? I know it's heavily used in the cherry industry.
Yeah, so you'll see automation happen in crops that are large internationally because the amount of money that needs to go into building this kind of innovation is really substantial. And so the people that are making that those innovations will need to get a return on investment. And so they're going to do that from the commodity crops where they can sell that innovation across multiple countries, multiple pack houses. Kiwifruit sits very much on its own in that respect because we are a very small part of the international food or the fruit production sector. And so expecting automation to come specifically for kiwifruit is a bit unrealistic. So where we're seeing it is in transition of technology for some of those other larger crops, and then just being the innovation happening in New Zealand to make it available for kiwifruit.
With regards to the RSE workers, that as you said, some are allowed to come through quarantine, but certainly not to significant numbers that we had pre-COVID. The frustration must be mounting with regards to a large proportion of our Pacific Island communities that would have been over here at this time and have been COVID-free the whole time. Are we making any progress at all in what I think is ridiculous that we can't bring them into the country?
Well, the short answer is no, we're not making a lot of progress, and that's something that we are having 2 weekly conversations with the government on. And I guess we've missed the opportunity around having those workers now available outside of the ones that we did get through MIQ at great expense. We're now focused on what we do for next year because the process of getting those 2,000 MIQ spaces was difficult and took a long lead-in time. And so now we're looking forward to what do we do for the following year. We're not seeing a lot of progress with respect to the Pacific bubble, or in fact the Trans-Tasman bubble, and we've all heard those comments from the Prime Minister around that. We are going down a track of having conversations about pre-departure testing and vaccination, but I still at this stage feel like we're a long way off making progress around free entry and exit for those RSE workers. And that's a problem also for those guys that are here in New Zealand and have been here for over a year and can't return home as well.
So of those 2,000, sorry to be specific on this, because I just want to see the ludicrousy of this. Of those 2,000, how many came from a COVID-free Pacific island?
All of them. So they've come from Fiji, from Samoa and from Vanuatu, but the vast majority are from Samoa and Vanuatu. And I think many people would argue that all three of those countries are COVID-free.
Wow. Well, make of it what you are, and having those regular meetings with the government. Thank you so much on behalf of all the growers that you are continuously keeping the pressure up on that, because, yeah, it is, as Mike Chapman from Horticulture New Zealand has called cuckoo land, which the government is in at the moment in his eyes on this issue. And thank you for explaining further around how robotics and automation is not as straightforward for the kiwifruit industry, but at the same time, it will have its place into the future, Nikki. And what's the appetite looking like? And of course, the financial investment and support from the institutions and investors to move into more automated systems.
Well, the kiwifruit industry continues to grow, and what we need to see is more efficiency of the plant or of the packhouse that we have, because kiwifruit harvest only lasts initially for 12 weeks and then repack after that. We don't want to go and put in whole new packing lines just to deal with fruit for 3 or 4 weeks. And so the industry is really focused on how do we get more out of the same equipment, really, and that comes down, as you say, to being able to run 24/7 and being able to be as efficient as possible, and that's where the innovation and automation comes in. So there is a strong progress from that respect, and then also from labour shortages year on year. It will still need people in the industry, but we may be in a better position to offer them more permanent skilled roles, and to reduce our reliance on having to come up with 23,000 people just for a period of 10 or 12 weeks. It's pretty challenging. So I think you'll continue to see that investment. Could there be more investment? Could the government assist with that investment? All of those things are subjects for further discussion.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki Johnson, Chief Executive of New Zealand Kiwifruit Growers Incorporated, joining us there.
Oh, nice boots.
Yeah, thanks. They're new.
Ben, you all right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, mate. Just meerkatting pretty hard, eh? Yeah, I just said to myself, Ben, you work hard, you deserve new boots.